Hey, so I'm back on my channel, and today I wish to talk about Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and how you can actually block applications like Google Chrome and Google Drive with indicators. So if I got you hooked, watch this video. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about the agenda. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and indicators, and I'm going to focus on certificates, code sign certificates. So first point is going to be what is code signing, what is an indicator, and then I'm going to show you in practice how to block applications and more with indicators. Okay, so what is a code sign? What is code signing? Code signing is to increase the confidence and trust in the application. And the trust can come is coming from the machine, the device, to actually know that this application or executable is something we trust. So if we dig down from the DigiCert words they have put on their website, code sign certificates are used by software developers to digitally sign applications, drivers, executables, and software programs as a way for end users to verify that the code they receive has not been altered or compromised by a third party. They include your signature, your company's name, and if desired, a timestamp. So how can we then use that in our Microsoft Defender for Endpoint as an indicator? I'm going to show you. But next up, let's talk about what is an indicator. Okay, so what is an indicator in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint? An indicator of compromise, also called IOCs, is matching its essential feature in every endpoint protection solution. This capability gives SecOps the ability to set a list of indicators for detection and for blocking, and preventing and response. We are able to make up to 15,000 indicators in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And IOC, that is the short terminology of indicator of compromise, they have 4 different types. So they have files, they have IP addresses, they have URLs and domains, and they have certificates. And the last one is the one we're going to focus on. So what are you able to do with these certificates? We're able to block a specific signed application across your organization by creating an indicator to block the certificate of the application. With Microsoft Defender for Endpoint will then prevent file executions. So it will block and remediate. And the automated investigation and remediation will behave the same. So inside Defender for Endpoint, we have what is called automated investigation. It will actually do the investigation for you. And we can also remediate it automatically. So next up, I'm gonna tell you how you can actually block applications and more with an indicator. So how to block applications and more with an indicator. In our toolbox to succeed, we're going to need licenses, access with privileged roles, and some technology. So licenses. We will need an Intune license, which is also included in multiple package licenses like M365, E3. We will then also need Microsoft 365 Defender for Endpoint, P2, which is included in a package license like M365 E5. With our access with our privileged roles, we will need the role called Intune Admin, which will give us access to Endpoint Manager, Intune. We will then also need the Security Admin role, which will give us access to Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, so we can make our indicator and do our configurations. We will then also need, in terms of technology, we will need a working VM that is already enrolled into Intune. We will then also need to have it to have it applied, we will then also need that the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint baseline deployed to the device with at least the cloud protection activated. And then we will also need to create a machine group inside Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And now I'm going to show you how to do all of these things. Okay, so now I'm going to check if I have the correct licenses. So I'm going to go to portal.azure.com, and then I'm going to go down to licenses right here. Then I'm going to go to all products. And then I can see already that I have the license. So Intune is inside EMS E5. It's also inside M365 E5 Developer. And Defender for Endpoint is then inside Microsoft Defender for Endpoint P2. So I need to confirm that I have this license assigned to my user. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to users. I'm going to search for my test user. I'm going to click on my test user. I'm going to see on the licenses if I have the service and the license installed. So here I can see off the bat that I have the M365 E5 developer license assigned, and I have all services installed. But let's just dig into the license and see the service is actually enabled, just to confirm it. So in here you can see all the services inside a specific license, because this is a package license. I'm going to search for Intune, and here I can see that Microsoft Intune is enabled. So perfect. So let's go back. Let's confirm the same thing with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And if I click on that, I can see that it is assigned and it is in active state. So it is also enabled. So that one licenses that was covered by this covered licenses. Next up, we're going to check if we have the right roles. Okay. We're going to go back to the portal.azure, our home directory, and then we're going to see on the users again. Jonas, not Jonas, is test. And let's see if we have the correct roles. Oh no, I'm sorry, not my test user. I'm going to check if my administrator has the correct role, the one I'm logged in with. And that was Jonas. So let's check. And on the roles, and I do. In this example, because it's my developer tenant, I have the global administrator role, and I also have the security administrator. But if you were in a production environment, I will not recommend global administrator, never. That's why I also specified that we only need the Intune administrator and we need the security administrator. So always go with least privilege roles. That is a key part in doing identity management and security. So just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to assign the Intune administrator role to this user. I'm going to put it as active, doing YouTube. I'm going to assign it. Perfect. So it's assigned to my user now. It will take some time before the cache updates, but now I know I have the correct roles. So that will also mean I have access to Endpoint Manager and I have access to the Security Center. So next up, we're going to go into we're going to confirm that we have our VM. So let's go over to Intune. I have a bookmark for it, so I'm just going to do like that. So this is the home page for Endpoint Manager Intune. Let's see on devices and Windows. And I have a couple of devices, but in my case, my test device, my test VM, is this one. Good. So next thing I'm gonna check if my device has the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint baseline applied. So let's go back to our endpoint security under security baselines and under Microsoft Defender for Endpoint baseline. And I have one here, one version. And I can see it is assigned. So let's check on the device status, which device it is, and that is indeed my test VM. So perfect. And I'm also going to confirm that in my configuration settings, it's per default always activated in the baseline. So I'm going to check if it's actually activated to confirm that, the cloud protection part, and it is. So cloud delivered protection is enabled. Perfect. So now we did all the prerequisites to actually make this work. Next thing, I'm gonna go inside the security center and show you how to make an indicator with the code sign certificate. Okay, so now we are inside the security.microsoft.com, the new security center, where we have the entire Microsoft 365 Defender suite. So we're gonna check first if we have our device enrolled to Defender for Endpoint. So let's go over device inventory, and indeed I have my device right here, and it's also active and it's onboarded. So that's good. And last update was today around 10 a.m. ish. Okay, perfect. So let's go over to our settings inside Defender for Endpoint. So down here on the left, we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to endpoint, endpoints. In here we have the entire settings for Defender for Endpoint. So next thing, I'm gonna check if we have a device group. We don't. So that will be our first step to make a device group so we can assign our indicator, IOC. And actually I'm just gonna go to the device inventory over here, gonna click on my device. I'm gonna make sure that I made a tag for it, and I haven't, because I'm gonna make a device group that looks on this tag for our test purposes. So I'm just gonna write it test. There we go. So now this machine has a tag that is called test. Perfect. Now let's go back to settings, endpoints. Under device groups, we're gonna add a device group. We're gonna call it IOC test. And I'm gonna take a full remediation threads automatically. Full remediate threads automatically. Good. Next. So in here I can now make a device group that will look on the tag I just assigned to my device. So let's go with equals to test. There we go. Next, show preview. And here you can see that I have my test device inside this group. Make sure that you double check the preview before you do anything with this device group. Then it's possible to make user access, but since we have the Defender, not Defender, but Security Administrator, we do not need to have any roles specifically for this task. But I always recommend that you set up and build up roles inside your Defender for Endpoint, as well as Intune. Always least privilege administrator roles. Those wordings, oh God. But I'm practicing, guys, I'm practicing. Okay, let's press done. And then in split, we will see that we have our device over in the IOC test group. Let's click apply to recalculate, and now we have our test device in our device group that is called IOC test. Perfect. So let's go over to settings then and make our indicator. We are in here actually already. So let's just go to indicators. We also need to make sure that the indicators are enabled inside advanced features. So let's just check. Search custom indicators. Perfect. So this one needs to be enabled to use the custom indicators that we're going to create. So let's go to indicators. Now we have those 4 options I talked about earlier. So we have file hashes, we have IP addresses, we have URLs and domains, and we have certificates. So I'm going to use, for this scenario, I'm going to use certificates. And then I'm going to press add item. And in here it's going to ask for our certificate. So now I'm going to show you how to get this code sign certificate from our application. And in this scenario, I'm going to do it from Google Chrome. Okay, so on the right side, you're going to see that I have the Chrome setup, and I also have the Google Drive setup file. On the left side, you're going to see that I have the window open still with the indicator that I'm about to add. So let's right click on Chrome setup, go to properties, go to digital signatures. Under Google LCC, the second one, the shared 256. Under details. So in here we can see that the thumbprint is matching our Google Drive setup code sign certificate. So that will mean it's the same certificate. I'm gonna export this certificate by installing the certificate in my own personal certificate store on my host. So let's click OK, OK, OK. Go to details on one of them. Go view certificate, install certificate, current user, and place a certificate in the store. I'm gonna choose the personal store so I know where it is. Next, finish. So the import was successful. Good. So now let's find the personal store. I'm just gonna search for manage user certificates, and that will give me this one. So remember, I put it under my personal store in here, certificates, and there I have the Google certificate. So I'm gonna right click on that one, go to all task, press export, go next, choose the default settings. I'm gonna choose a folder. I'm gonna write a Google code signed cert, just Google code signed. I'm gonna press save, I'm gonna press next, I'm gonna press finish. And now the export was successful. So now you can see I have a certificate on the right side. So now we're gonna upload the certificate. Let's click on choose certificate. And there we have our certificate. Open. Next. I'm gonna choose the block. We do not. And write into title. Blocking Google code signed applications Yeah, let's just use like that. This is to block Google. Next, and our scope, we're gonna choose select. We're gonna choose our IOC test device group that we made. Gonna press next, and then we're gonna press save. So now I'm gonna wait for stuff to happen on my end, on my VM. So I'm just gonna sit tight. So after a while, I can see things are happening on my device. So let's try and open up Edge, and now let's go into our installation folder actually that we have made. Inside folder is empty. Okay, that's cool. So it removed the installation files because they are code signed with the certificate. And I actually also had Chrome install. I think Chrome is gone. Where's Chrome installed at? I don't remember. Google. That looks empty. Nothing. Nothing. An update. Installation folder empty. Download folder. Still something in there. The Chrome installer. Okay. Let's try and just click on that just for fun. Nothing is happening. Let's click on the Google update. Nothing is happening. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's preventing me for actually executing my files that is signed with the code sign certificate from Google. And we can also see on this one, these can actually be predefined with Intune. So we can always say that if there's anything that pops up that we have marked with a custom indicator, as we have done in this scenario, we can go in and say automatically quarantine, remove or allow on the device. So let's just see. So this one also shows details about it. So category, enterprise unwanted software. Details to this application was removed because it is blocked according to the Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection policy that we have made with our indicator. And these are all the files that is affected. Okay, cool. Let's try and go with Edge and see if we can download Chrome. Let's go Chrome download and install. Blah, blah, blah. Download. Where is our download? Did it just remove it that quickly? Okay, so it's telling us that this is not possible to download Google Chrome. Okay, let's go and download Google one. I think it's called Drive. Yeah. Download Drive for desktop. Yes, please. It's downloading. Okay, so now it's almost done. Let's see what will happen. You probably guess right. It will say that. It will say that. Boom. Couldn't be downloaded. Potential virus found. Okay. So let's see the details. guess it will be under here somewhere. Downloads, that's the Chrome, Google Drive, there it is. So this is the video. I'm gonna wrap it up right now. So we just talked about licensing. We talked about custom indicators with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And then we also made a scenario where we wish to block everything about Google that is code signed with their specifically certificate. I hope this video helped you just a little bit, and I hope that you can use it for something in your environments. Just remember, don't test in production. Use a test environment first, so you are sure that you will not affect any productivity in your organization. So that was it. See you in the next video. Vi ses alle sammen. Hej hej.